Manchester United are set to sign another exciting midfielder in 17-year-old Cristian Orozco. But who is he? Why is he exciting? Are you just hyping up a teenager, Sam, that you have no idea about? No. Let me tell you some top-level info on Arasco, why we've signed him, but also, I want to have a conversation around why this is exactly the signing I have wanted from Manchester United, and I want more of. Still, now subscribe if you're new for daily United videos like this. So you've probably heard the news now that United look to be signing a young Colombian midfielder called Cristian Orozco. Who is he? Well, I'm going to tell you a bit more information about him, the top-level stuff. This isn't to say that he's an absolute wonder kid. Could he be one of the gems that United find? That's the intention of this transfer strategy. And there's two strategies going off at once. One thinking about now, one thinking about the future. I'm going to speak about all of it in this video because it is something I want to see more of. It's exactly the sort of signing that I want to see more of at this football club. All right? So, Cristian Orozco. Some top-level info. This is where the story first came from. Pipe Sierra, who I said kind of sounds like a little bit of a porn star. Anyway, he was reporting that United had agreed a preliminary deal. Now, Ben Jacobs has followed up on that and said United have actually agreed a deal to sign him. So, who is he, right? The lad just turned 17 in July. See down there, right? So, if he is indeed to sign for Manchester United, which is what Ben Jacobs has said, he can't join until the 13th of July next year. Remember, the same sort of thing happened with Diego Leon. We signed him from Cerro Porteño in Paraguay. He stayed there for the second part of the season, then came to United in the summer. So this summer, he joined the Uruguayan team. He joined Fortaleza. He joined this team here. We're currently fourth in the league. Now, I've had a quick look through their results and their squads in the last 4, 5, 6 games. He's not been part of the matchday squad. In fact, the last games I can see that he played was at the Under-17s CONMEBOL Championship, which is where United scouted him. Right, you can see there, played all the games. You can see his heat map as well. Very active as a central midfielder. Now, here's just some notes on one of the performances from one of those games where, of course, he was a 16-year-old. This from Ben, who was a scout. He's saying that press resistant with some tidy, skillful footwork to turn past defenders and tidy on the ball. And here's a bit of an example of that. Him receiving the ball, skipping past, open his body up, boom, pass through the line. Lovely. And he's also said at the same time, sometimes a little bit aggressive in his lunging for the ball. Sometimes poor positioning in the body. I wouldn't say this is a terrible bit of positioning, but you can see him there on the left, jumping in, kind of misses the ball, goes back in, waits for another pass, goes down there, jumps in again, waits for it, goes over there, waits for it, and then jumps in again. Like, very active as a central midfielder. That's what the suggestions are from what I've seen so far. Now, we'll do a far more in-depth video. This isn't going to be like a just pure scout report on him. But that's like the top level. Clearly, United have identified enough in him to want to sign him. And he will become the next player in a growing list now since Ineos came in and since Chris Vivell came in. Sekou Kone we signed from Gidars FC from Mali last summer. He's had a season of sort of staying in the background. He's had an injury that's kind of ruled him out of playing for the under-21s this year. But he's a midfield prospect that we signed. Diego Leon, who I said we signed, similar, South American market as well. Signed as a 17-year-old from Cerro Porteño in Paraguay. Loaned him back there. He joined in the summer. He's raw. He's going to be staying, I think, with the under-21s for this season. Let's see what happens next. Then you had Enzo Canabiak, who United picked up in the summer on a free from Le Havre, the same club that we signed Popper from. And he's actually gone on loan to Lausanne in Switzerland. I think he actually got an injury. But it's these sorts of signings that I want Manchester United to make more of. You can see here, like, dude's only just turned 17. It's a bit like Diego Leon. He's kind of signed him and he's next like that. Dude's obviously physically very well developed and certainly in comparison to the slender frame of Sekou Kone. But all of this is effectively geared towards United avoiding stuff like this in the future. All right? Is Kone guaranteed to be a gem? Nope. Is Diego Leon? Nope. Is Canabiak? Nope. Is Cristian Orozco? Nope. What United need to do is find those gems and avoid Caicedo-type situations where United, we were in contact with his agents. We were in contact with the scouts. We were in contact with the club. How much? 5 million euros. Nah, that's all right. We'll pass on that. Goes to Brighton, ends up becoming a 120, 30 million pounds player who we could have signed for 5 mil. That is an expensive lesson that cannot be repeated. And it's not just these names I've mentioned there and the ones we've already signed and by the looks of it, going to be signing in Arasco. There's other names too, like Mohamed Dabo, another midfielder who we've been linked with. A report suggested that he was training at Carrington. You got Stephen Rowson from the Manchester Evening News saying, "No, hold on, there's not actually a move for him developing just yet." And it's not just those. Another couple here. Senegalese under-17s players, the Ambars and Etienne Mende, who are on trial at United. On top of that, United are tracking Gambian teenage sensation Musa An. It's a repeating pattern. It's just a lot of names getting thrown in. A couple of Serbian lads here as well. Not even going to try those. Ugresic and Milosevic. And then on top of that, United getting linked with, say, Bouadi from Lille. That's a little bit of a different one because he's already playing for the first team. He's already got a little bit of exposure to senior football in one of the top 5 leagues. But still, the price of 30 to 40 mil there is going to be significantly less than the price of, say, Baleba or Wharton, which we'll speak about next. And this is all kind of the work of Chris Vivell. This is when we first brought him in. Look, you could see the initial short-term basis to help with the summer transfer window, to lend expertise around talent ID. Blah, blah, blah. That's exactly what all of these signings are. That's exactly what Cristian Orozco will be. A talent ID signing. Somebody who's clearly got the fundamentals that United think, you know what, let's bring him in. Because United can't afford to do this as their transfer policy forever. What we did this summer, we went after Premier League proven players. And Bumo, look at him, man. Settled straight away. No one's got any questions. He's just going to keep delivering. He's going to keep getting better and better. Cunha as well, had a little bit of an injury. That's different. But United, what we need to do and what we can do by creating the sort of transfer model that both looks at the now in signings like Baleba and making those hit better, and also signings for the future. Someone like Arasco, someone like Kone, someone like Leon. And I was asking in the live show today, in terms of like what the hit rate needs to be on these signings. I think if you even reached a point where one out of 5 of these signings ends up turning into a top level, like 50 mil plus Premier League player for Manchester United, you've nailed it. You've absolutely nailed it. Now, Brighton became the absolute best at that, and I think the Caicedo-Baleba succession plan is the best example of it. Buying Moise Caicedo for how much I don't know how much they signed him for. Not much. Building him up, selling him for 120 mil, bringing in Baleba, building him up, and now he's linked with another massive move to Manchester United. Will he be one of those gems? Well, we don't know yet. But United have got to keep going with this policy. I want more of them. Sign 1 or 2 exciting young players from abroad. These players that no one knows about. If you do your scouting properly and you use data properly and you combine the two, you can find these hidden gems. You can find these gems who turn into superstars for your club. They're my favourite types of signings. Let's see what goes on with this lad. I'll do a video with a little bit more in-depth of a scouting report on him once we've got it confirmed. But just as a strategy, I agree with signing Premier League proven players. And at the same time, I agree with going out there and trying to find gems. And maybe this lad will be one of them.